Welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Monday, September 30th, 2019. Check out our solar wind speeds coming in at 465.7 kilometers per second with a density of 2.8. Our sun remains blank. This is now 27 days in a row without sunspots. 198 days so far here in 2019. We are now 73% of the year without sunspots. Last year, I think we finished right around 61%. So this is already turning into a very deep minimum. Our TCI is at 4.58, and that's a little up just because of recent solar activity with increased solar winds and also KP indices. Right now it's sitting at a 3. But we did have a 24-hour max of 4, so we did not get the G2 storm that they were put us on a watch for the 27th and 28th. However, we did get a longer lasting G1, and then earlier today we had KP indices at 4, so just one level below as far as solar storms go. But let's take a look at the SDO in motion now, and we are looking at a pretty quiet sun. Folks out there asking me a question about sunspots, and a lot of you are new to the channel. One of the questions was, how come you say there's no sunspots, but yet we see all of these little spots showing up? And the answer to that is that these do not all qualify as sunspots. They don't possess the necessary traits to be a sunspot. There's various videos that we have on thegrandsolarminimum.com, our website, and Mari has put together some very nice documentaries as well to help educate about sunspots and sunspot numbers. But this is also the 193 angstrom, which most of the corona shows up a little bit brighter in this angstrom, and it's kind of why we show this one during our live shows. That way everybody can get the detail of the sun. Now, if you look at past images of the SDO from, say, 2014 and 15, when you're in a max, you'd be able to see the difference in what a real sunspot looks like compared to what these tiny little specks are. I could easily change the color, and this is part of the problem with some folks out there, but if you change the color, you can make it look as bad as you want. For instance, let's say we go with a green, or maybe blue. Sure, that looks like a quiet sun, right? How about this color? Even more ominous. So if you look back, though, in 2013, 14, 15, and 16, you will see a very active sun compared to what we're seeing right now. And maybe this does a better job at highlighting how quiet the sun really is right now at this time. Now, there are one more area of concern that I might have for a possible sunspot, and that is once again on the eastern limb, just now crossing the eastern limb, about the same spot where the last one we were watching was. So we will continue to watch that, but since it is already starting to turn towards Earth, if it did qualify as a sunspot, NOAA and SPACEWEATHER.com would have definitely updated it by now. So we will continue to monitor this active region here just below the equatorial region of the sun and monitor it to find out if it indeed breaks our 27-day snap right now. And again, guys, 27 days in a row. And when you look at that particular active region, if this does become a non-issue, then looking at the SDO motion, the whole picture of things anyway, except for minus the stereo B side of it, but there is no activity in sight. So we could beat at least the 40s of consecutive days without sunspots if this area does not form into a sunspot. Just putting it out there. All right, guys, let's get into some of our articles today. This is going to be mainly a recap on some of the snow that we had. But first, I want to talk about some more flooding in India. More than 100 killed in a weekend flooding across northern India. Severe flooding continued to inundate northern India this past weekend, with numerous fatalities being reported in the states of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Following several days of heavy rainfall, the number of fatalities rose above 100 between the two states, with Uttar Pradesh reporting 93 and Bihar 29 as of Monday, according to the BBC News. That same monsoon low that struck Uttar Pradesh produced flash flooding in Pune earlier last week. That round of flooding killed at least 22 people, with 4 others still missing. Officials say traffic, health services, schools, a power supply have been disrupted in both states. This is according to the BBC. Downpours will continue across the northern India this week, but are expected to be more localized, with less flooding compared to last week. Now, last week we covered this, and the flood map doesn't look much different than what it did last week. There was a lot more dark green, but however, the entire area is still in a chance of either localized or widespread flash flooding. These downpours will then advance eastward into central Madhya Pradesh during the day on Tuesday. Eastern Madhya Pradesh and this is part of the northern region will be at risk for localized flooding Tuesday night into Wednesday. Farther east, daily showers and thunderstorms will heighten the risk for flooding and travel disruptions and into northeast India. About 12 inches of rainfall has fell already just in the past few days, and they are still expecting several inches on the way, folks. So just to give kind of a follow-up from last week's story about the flooding in India, it has not changed. It has lightened up just a little bit, but we're still calling for flash flooding, mudslides, and frequent lightning. 2 weeks in a row, almost an identical forecast here. Of course, I'll probably get that typical, well, that's normal this time of year, right? All right, so let's talk about the snow, shall we? Pretty big snow event we had. Impressive, in fact, for September. And there was a few people who I don't think particularly cared for how much attention that this storm got, but let's be honest, folks. Here are some of the snow totals. Bab, Montana, 52 inches. This is through Monday morning. Browning, Montana, with 48 inches. Folks, 52 inches is over 4 feet. Badger Pass, Montana, 46 inches. Bynum, Montana, also at 46 inches. And St. Mary, Montana, came in at a shallow 45 inches, folks. The amount of snow that fell over the weekend for the first weekend of September is unimaginable for a lot of these folks. And it's not just this area, too. I'll have more to report on as far as... Well, this person here just sounds beside himself, but it is just snow, thankfully. I don't know. What would you rather have, folks? Would you rather have a lot of rain or a lot of snow to deal with early? When you're talking about 4 feet in September, I get it. That's not really ideal. I would probably rather deal with the rain at this point, but at least with the snow, you hope there won't be any flooding. And temperatures up there right now are not going to be a quick warm-up. It's staying pretty frigid as we speak, but let's give you an idea of some of the snowiest Septembers in Great Falls, Montana history. Right now, 2019 is already ranked number 1 with 19.3 inches of snow. Now, last week I reported that that particular amount, the record was actually 16.1 inches. And this actually particular storm right now has produced, I'd say, more snow in a 2-day event since April 27th and 28th of 2009. And this brings me to my point. It's just very odd. By the way, that was 24.2 inches were measured. So this was the second highest for Great Falls. 2008, 2009 was considered to be one of the deepest minimums we've had in over 150 years. And now we see a stat like today's winter storm we just had here in the fall, not even barely fall. And we've already crushed a few records snow-wise. But it's only September. It's just now turning into October. Today's the last day of September. We're not even October 1st yet. And what's weird is, or not weird, but expected, we were talking about in the spring, March, April, and May, about how cold and how much snow was falling in the southern hemisphere, and how folks were saying this doesn't happen this early. And that's all I kept talking about. This was 2 months early. This was 2 months early. Well, take a look at this. We are looking at snowfall and freezing temperatures. Oh, I'd say about 2 months early for this kind of action anyway. Now, it snows in Montana. I'm not saying we don't see snowfall, but to get 48 inches in some areas, this being one of the snowiest winters, 19.3, or snowiest fall so far, and it's only begun. From 11 a.m. Saturday to Sunday, 11 a.m., 17.7 inches fell, breaking the previous 24-hour record of 16.8 inches in April of 1973, April 20th to be exact. Missoula, Montana recorded a trace of snow on Saturday, which is the first time a trace of snow has ever been recorded on the date. On Sunday, 1.7 inches of snow had fallen in Missoula, breaking the city's all-time September snowfall record of 1.5 inches set back in 1934. So, not that big of a deal of their record. They only beat it by, 0.2 of an inch. 1983 is the third most snowfall in Missoula with 0.4, so quarter of an inch. And then, of course, we had record snow in Spokane as well. I'll jump over here to Ice Age info now. We got the record right here. Record snowfall of 1.4 inches was set at Spokane International Airport yesterday. This is the first measurable snowfall recorded on this date since records have been taken in Spokane beginning in January of 1881. This brings Spokane total snowfall for the month of September to 3.3 inches, making September 2019 the snowiest September on record for the city. I mean, okay, it's global warming though. I mean, right? That's what we're being told, that all this CO2 is warming everything, and that's why it's snowing in September, and that's why cities in the Northwest are breaking never before recorded snow records. And yeah, I mean, 1881, it'd be curious to see what the actual records are going back into the 1750s and 1800s in the beginning. But still, with what we have to work with, this to me does not show a trend of warming or any kind of increase of temperature at any point. The fact that we're telling you that this here in Spokane, Washington is the first time it's ever snowed on that date ever, at least since 1881. It's a mighty record. And I saw on SPACEWEATHERnews.com as well, they were talking about the minimum being deeper. It was another read between the lines type thing for how deep the minimum already is with the lack of sunspots. But the correlations are here, guys. When you look at weather events, somebody was trying to talk about how the AGW talks about how the sun doesn't have anything to do with the climate. It doesn't make that big of a difference. But yet when I look at like all these records that are being broke left and right with snow and everything, and then you see other dates of snowfalls that were heavier, and you realize that these dates are the years that are during other solar minimums. And that's not a coincidence that we're seeing the record cold and the record snow during a period of time where there's lack of sunspots. So, I mean, really, the real deniers are the people who don't understand the theory on solar or sunspots, the lack of colder temperatures, and the more sunspots, the warmer the temperatures. And we talked about a paper that was written at the University of Washington where the plasma underneath the corona builds up every 11 years, and when it can't hold it anymore, that's when you get sunspots. And as those years of solar maximum, when it lets all that plasma out that it wants to, where it feels like it has to reload underneath the corona again, that's where you see the sunspots decrease once again and get quiet, because there's room beneath that corona. But to me, I just feel like the science is in that category of that makes sense. That's logic. When you're talking about plasma being spewed through the corona, that's output. That's sun energy being thrown, hurled. That is output. That's force. Therefore, when you have more of those appearing through the corona, it's putting out more output, which is affecting the Earth's climate and heats the planet as well. Naturally, not by man. Photos. Fierce prairie storms buries cars, brings 90 centimeters of snow. This is for our friends up north. And speaking for our friends up north, I want to thank Rachel and Carlton. This was the scene here in Lethbridge, Alberta. Shane Pollock. This is him standing outside of his porch. This is how the snow stacked up on looks like some outdoor furniture. Pollock. I said Shane Pollock. I said Pollock. You said Pollock. So I know what I said, woman. Shane knows what I said, didn't you, buddy? But take a look at this drift, guys. So you think it got it in Montana, our friends up north in Canada, Alberta. Holy moly. Whalen, this is why I live in Louisiana. Absolutely, my friend. Wow. And again, September. I need to look into the records and see what kind of information I could find about how bad this actual storm was. But cold air descending from the Arctic combined with the potent, slow moving low pressure system has brought days of heavy snow and blizzard conditions to southern Alberta, Saskatchewan. How come I cannot say that? Saskatchewan. I like Saskatchewan, but
so fired.
This is why they don't like me up north. They would throw a bunch of bottles of maple syrup at me if I showed up right now. Like, you can't even say our town right. Get out of here. Here's some maple bacon to go along with it. It's great. Because listen, Canadians are the nicest people in the world. I'm not lying. I deal with Canadians.
What other country would come up with a brilliant food like poutine?
I'm just saying, they're really, really nice people up there. I deal with them every day, and it's amazing how nice they are. All right.
Take back Justin Bieber.
Yes, please take Justin Bieber and get rid of Justin, that other guy. Anyway, big snow was further southwest and near the mountains and the foothills. Western Lakes National Park measured astonishing 95 centimeters, just 5 centimeters shy of a meter after more than 2 days of snowfall. 3 feet already in that area as well. Wow. So look, it wasn't just in Montana. Our friends north of the border got this as this storm moved actually to the north. They had flight cancellations, power outages, tree damage. They've all been reported and remembered as this is a historic early autumn storm. In Calgary, city plows have been working to clear the roads of snow, and auto shops will likely be busy due to the numerous collisions that were reported. 171 from 6 a.m. Saturday until 10 a.m. Sunday alone. This has definitely been a you have to see it to believe it snow story for the records. And again, it's never happened in anybody's lifetime. That's the common thing that we're hearing right now, right? You know, it's easy to dismiss what's happening around the world when you live in a climate where it's nice and warm and cozy and normal. But try living in the Midwest or in the Central Plains or in the Northern Plains, Northeast and the Northwest. You guys are seeing it. I mean, you're used to seeing early snows, but not this kind of accumulation. Not this kind of cold either that's sticking around after the snow. I mean, that's the big news here. Check this out. Kyle Britton, waist deep through the snow, folks. This is Waterton, Alberta, September 29th. It still blows my mind that we're reading a September 29th date for this young man. So, some very historic snow. I heard a rumor that the Midwest could be dealing with some October snow by the middle of the month. We'll have to look at the GFS. I haven't seen anything on that yet, but it was an interesting rumor nonetheless. Wouldn't be surprising. Wouldn't be shocked to see snow on the ground for Halloween in the Northeast and the Northwest. Again, we'll leave all the links on our website at thegrandsolarminimum.com. We did that one already. So here we go. October temperatures. At first they were showing a NOAA map, but now it appears they have come to their senses and went back to their weather company that does the research, and thankfully so. Temperatures will be above average for Southern California into Louisiana, southwestern Arkansas. Again, not uncommon for this area of the United States to be warm into October into November. So no red flag here, no pun intended. Farther north, colder than average conditions are likely in much of Montana and northwestern Dakota. Near to slightly below average temperatures are expected in the Northwest, the upper Mississippi Valley, as well as much of the Northeast, pretty much all of the Northeast. Near or slightly below average. So in other words, it'll be fall, it'll be chilly at night, nothing crazy. But NOAA had the entire country in warming from here through November. 70% chance of above average temperatures in this region. September 2019 has been one of the hottest Septembers on record in the South, into the Mid-Atlantic, Ohio Valley, into Central Plains and portions of the Southwest, according to the Southeast Regional Climate Center. The warm trend may persist into many of these areas in October, but the focus of the anomalous heat may shift a bit further west into the Southern Plains and desert Southwest. So things might level off, and I've showed you guys a few different times on how we will start to feel some relief from that heat. And now Weather Channel is also indicating that. Of course, they're using, this is NOAA's prediction center. This is their forecast from the 4th through the 10th. Now, we have chances of even colder temperatures in upstate New York from the 4th through the 10th of October, all the way through the Northeast. Parts of Montana that have gotten the snowfall, you guys don't really move too far out of that cold temperature prediction. Right now, it's looking at least 70% chance of below normal temperatures for the Northwest, the Northern Plains, into the upper Great Lakes, and the Northeast. Places like the Ohio Valley, Indiana, Illinois, and places in Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, it looks like you're right in the middle of this neutral zone of where temperatures will be near average or slightly below, if that at all. But we are watching the weather patterns right now, and here's another idea too. Here's the average high temperatures for October. Believe it or not, we're supposed to be in the 60s, 70s, 80s in the deep south, places like Florida. So yes, is it above average in the southeast right now? Absolutely. Even in Ohio right now, but those temperatures will change here in the near future. Look at the Southwest. I mean, they're talking about the temperatures being very warm into October, and that's exactly what we look at anyway in October. Average highs for the Southwest is in the 80s. So again, a lot of hype about this, warmer area down here And it's almost like they're trying to offset this early September snow with, well, don't worry, it's super hot the rest of the country. Only a small part of the country right now is cold, but there's a big area that's hot right now. Well, hate to break it to you folks, but these areas right here that Weather Channel is showing you right now, this is all normal October weather. The only thing that's not normal right now is the Northeast, the Northern Plains, and the Northwest. They are going to be below average or below average or near slightly below average. Either way, it's going to be cooler up north, and still a chance for parts of Ohio and Pennsylvania and Indiana. I'm not ruling it out in Michigan as well, where we may see some cooler temperature days as well. So October definitely on the decline, and I can always suspect that as we move further into autumn, closer to winter, November, we might see half of the country in the blue. So just stay tuned to that. All right, there's one other thing I wanted to mention before we do our GFS. That's all right. This was the last one here anyway. And now this is our latest weather maker to keep our eyes on. The 1,500-mile corridor of the U.S. is on alert. Flooding as repeated downpours to strike. We've showed you this on the GFS. And what does this mean? We're going to see chances for flash flooding, local severe storms, harvest disruptions. Now that's the first time I've seen that in a weather forecast. Travel delays, AccuWeather, local storm max 8. That's also going to be an impact, apparently, according to this legend. Anyway, it's interesting that they're going to go ahead and mention harvest disruptions. They know this is an important time of the year for farmers, so it's important to list all the possibilities that we might be looking at right now. A general 2 to 4 inches of rain is in store. However, AccuWeather local storm max prediction is calling for around 8 inches in eastern Nebraska and northern Iowa. While non-excessive rain is welcome in parts of western Texas, New Mexico, Oklahoma, and southwestern Kansas, where abnormally dry to drought conditions exist, too much rainfall in some areas may lead to aggravate existing flooding. Chicago has received over 200% of their average rainfall the month of September, and in many other cities in Illinois, Iowa, and Wisconsin have observed similar conditions. Buckingham said enough rainfall can cause periodic travel delays in major cities: Chicago, Milwaukee, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Davenport, Iowa, Omaha, Nebraska, Kansas City, Missouri, and Topeka, Kansas. Motorists along portions of Interstate 10, I-29, I-35, I-40, I-70, across Nebraska and I-80, I-90, and I-94 can encounter blinding downpours and flooding in low-lying portions of roadways. So that is our next weather system that we will be looking at. And let's go ahead and take a look at the GFS and talk about that, because we are expecting, believe this, we are expecting severe weather again for Wisconsin by Wednesday, October 2nd. And Tuesday, we're expecting a Torcon of 3 in the areas that you see right here that's in the orange and yellow. Okay, so across eastern Nebraska and western Iowa, we have a Torcon of 3 into Wisconsin. Now, last week, one of our callers on the call-in show on the Patreon show that we have every Saturday said that he has witnessed 5 tornadoes within a radius of an hour from where he is located just recently. So more chances for tornadic activity in the northern Great Lakes, but more or less more heavy rain. This was the corridor they were talking about where the rain was going to travel. This is all being fed from the tropics. There's moisture coming in from the Gulf. There's moisture coming in from the... Oops, I do this all the time. You'd think one of these days I'd be able to figure it out. We'll find it one of these days. So you got moisture being pumped in from here in the Gulf and of course the tropics. And then we have also this low pressure system that's riding up into the Bajas, but this thing is going to ride with the jet stream and just feed more moisture into the United States. New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, parts of Kansas, Iowa. This is just going to continue. And this is the 1,500-mile stretch of corridor it's talking about. I-90 gets in there, folks. That's Buffalo, Erie, Pennsylvania, all the way through New York. So that's quite a stretch. So the top half of this was the historic snowstorm that we got here in Montana. Up to 52 inches was the most snow recorded so far that we've heard. Most areas got 46, 44, 45 inches, 48, 4 feet of snow. You know, September. That's all. So now we've got the tropics feeding this moisture in the United States, and moisture also coming in from the Gulf that will also link in with this system. Watch this as we move along. This is now Wednesday. And as we move further into Thursday, more moisture across the northern regions, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and then the Northeast gets pegged. The tropics still feeding moisture into Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas. This is now Saturday. So some of these areas is going to see rain showers for the next 6 to 7 days straight before finally moving out of the area around October 5th. And that is where we'll find the moisture being fed in on this side of things. Gulf moisture and the Atlantic side as well, the Bahamas. And that next low pressure system is bringing colder air across most of the United States as it makes its way through as well. Now this is October 6th. That's next Sunday. As you see, lots of moisture here. High pressure dipping way down to the south, not bringing a whole lot of cold air, but it's going to keep things cool in Michigan and the Northeast by early next week. So I'm talking not tomorrow, but next Tuesday. Fall and colder temperatures will arrive. Once again, more snow in Alberta and BC and spilling into possibly parts of Montana by next Wednesday. But high pressure system taking over the Northeast and in the Northwest, trying to keep all the moisture at bay, and just for one day, October 10th, except for Florida. Beautiful dry day expected across the region from the 10th through the 11th, and really all the way through the 12th, where a system finally develops in the Midwest, moving east towards the Northeast. And then we get to around middle of October, that cold air is just waiting to spill into the United States. Pretty big low pressure system could give a snowstorm to Wisconsin and Minnesota towards the middle of October, but then we've got something in the Gulf to watch. And I'm not going to speculate because it's 16 days out, but I'm pretty sure y'all can see this. That is the tropical system that some folks are now concerned with, that it's rearing its ugly head, and with the way these fronts are moving, it could bring this storm, if I had to guess, a hard right, is what some folks are saying. And we've kind of showed that there was supposed to be some kind of activity late in October. Right now, this is the only area that could sustain any kind of tropical event. The waters are still kind of warm. Up in this region here, the waters have definitely cooled off, except along the Gulf Stream where they are still a little bit warm. But for the most part, once you get here to Virginia, any hurricane coming up in this water tier would pretty much just make it a tropical depression at that point. So we will keep our eyes on this particular system right here. This could be the in like a lamb, out like a lion, and we might have one more major storm to contend with. So we'll keep our eyes on that as well. But other than that, a pretty normal fall pattern. Now let's take a look at temperatures real quick. And like I said, we will continue to monitor the storm down there near the Gulf. Like I said, the temperature in the water down there definitely is favorable for this. 1st of October is going to feel like Indian summer for most of the United States, as far as the East Coast through the Midwest, all the way to central Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. You guys are still pretty hot. And then that colder air starts to make a further south push. As we get into Friday, it's going to feel like fall for the top half of the country. Still very, very warm in the southeast and the Florida Panhandle as well. Also in the southwest, Arizona, Southern California. But for the most part, a lot of the country will see fall-like high daytime highs with nighttime lows in the upper 30s. Some normalcy here by the end of next week. The first week of October, still in the 60s, but another cold front pushes through overnight into Monday, keeping temperatures across the majority of the United States in the 60s and 50s and some 70s in the South. So like I said, there is relief on the way for y'all folks in the South. And by the time we get to Tuesday, October 8th, the only region that feels like summer is Florida, which this time of year, that's what it's, wow, look at that. So this is October 8th. Look at the hot areas that we're dealing with right now. Florida, Southwest, and kind of like what we were talking about here. That map matches this map almost to the T. Look at that. 80s in southern Texas. 80s in southern Texas. 80s in the southwest Arizona, Phoenix area. Yep. 80s, some 90s. Same thing in Florida. This thing is identical right now. So right on target with that temperature outlook. And then these are overnight lows for Wednesday. Look at this. Whew. It's a little chilly out there. Daytime highs barely making it out of the 50s in the Northeast. And then now we're starting to see more freezing temperatures overnight in the Northeast, as well as the Northwest. Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming is going to be the coldest part. A little bit of a warm up here around mid-October 11th. 70s and 80s returning to the South and the Midwest. But there is that nasty cold front sitting right up there at the top of the Canadian border, trying to make its way south. And as we get closer to the 14th of October, 15th, those blues are starting to push that red further and further away, as high temperatures on the 16th of October, it almost looks like this is the last gasp of possibility of some serious heat in the southeast and along the east coast. Behind it, it looks like fall pattern and a full change into our seasons. Possibly no more big time 80 degree, 90 degree temperatures in the far south. But again, Florida, South Texas, and Southwest, where Phoenix and Southern California, so far the fall looks pretty normal so far, other than the early snows that we've had up in Montana, Alberta, Canada, BC as well, also having some record-breaking snows. So again, pretty impressive snowstorm to just kind of come out of nowhere, and fall has just begun. Mari, would you like to come over here and say hello to the chat real quick before we sign off for the night?
Oh, I'm dropping things. Hello, everyone. Great report, Jake.
Hello, everyone.
We had Mike in New Zealand. He wants to know where he can get more information about all this stuff. They keep him in the dark down in Kiwi land.
Go to our website. I hate to say that, but it's got all of the links to it for all the source data that we have. So, I mean, really, our website is linked to all the peer-reviewed papers and all the places that we go to get the data that you need to look at. So
I've been working on the website in the background. There's nothing new on it yet, but I am trying to, we have so many great things. I'm trying to consolidate and move things around for it to be more user-friendly. So at the beginning of the show, I crashed the site, and I'm sorry, Jake.
it worked out.
You couldn't show our site up, but it's up and running again. I have fixed it. So that if I haven't been in the chat that much, that's because I was finishing up trying to get that going.
Thank you.
I may have broken it again. So who knows? You know, one of those Mondays. But happy Monday night to everyone. We'll be back, tomorrow morning?
Yep.
And then on Wednesday, we'll be back. I added our events, our times for our Monday, Wednesday, and Friday shows on Facebook. If anyone wants a different alternative means to being reminded instead of YouTube, if you're not getting your YouTube notifications, I'm just adding that.
Well, and those of you who aren't, I mean, we have tens of thousands of subs on this channel, so there's definitely room for us over the Facebook page. So to get your notifications for sure, we put out a schedule on the Facebook page. Like our Facebook page, the Grand Solar Minimum, and all of those alerts are already set up on the Facebook page.
Set up as events, so you can set like reminders, and then Facebook will remind you. So it's just, I'm trying to branch out to other social media platforms to sort of leverage things, because YouTube at any time could just be like, you know what, Jake and Mari, we really don't want you on our platform, and just give us the boot. So I'm trying to expand our other platforms. We have about 5,000 followers on Twitter, 3-something on Facebook. I'm just trying to grow the base and try to spread everyone out. So
if anything,
you can't find us in one spot, you'll be able to find us in another. So
we're getting ready for, you just never know what's going to happen.
I can't trust anything with everything I've seen online.
Well, we just need to be in several places at the same time to make sure that if something does happen to one platform, we're covered on another.
And I'm working also on the site of having just a page of just where we are on social media. We're on BitChute, we're on Vimeo. Like, some of these things aren't updated as frequently as I'd like, but if you wanted to actually, you know, just follow us around as backups, I guess it's there.
The content's going to be the same, just spreading it all over the place is what we're trying to do.
Much.
So
yeah, we're trying to build our audiences on all of them just to have a safe haven. And then of course we have the Patreon, and we had the live show on Saturday, and Matt like stole the show really and provided some great agricultural information about his farm, the corn industry, and just the different terminologies that are used on the USDA.
Mari actually might break that one up and release that. That was a very good call too. So
that was awesome. So, and
you know, who knows, we might do something in the future where just to kind of get people over to Patreon as well. It takes $1. You guys get the phone number, call in on the show 8 to 9 on Saturdays. Hopefully it expands longer than that as we grow. But maybe we could do something like get a different number for the YouTube and kind of let everybody kind of test it out and see how it is. And that might encourage folks also to wander over to our Patreon page. Again, it's only $1 if you want to participate in the call-in shows that we have on Saturday nights. Mari, do you have anything before we wrap it up?
Don't be shy with the call-in show.
Absolutely not.
Check it out. One person said that I should put our links and make them available on the videos that we do. Most of the nightly videos, what I've been doing is I've been pinning it as a comment on the top of our videos. Sometimes in the morning, it's asking a lot for me in the morning. I usually don't have my coffee by then, do I, Jake? Like, it takes a couple to kick in. So the night shows definitely have all our social media links in a pinned comment. I'm usually pretty good about that. I haven't put it in today's until we're actually signed off and you go back in and look at it. It'll show up as a comment. You know, it's all about analytics and algorithms. If I put it in the description, they'll penalize us for having the wrong link in there or something. So I put it down as a comment just to, we're harassed enough. We are the most censored GSM channel out there. So that's what I think. But what can you say, Jake?
Alrighty. Well, thank you very much, Mari, for your efforts in the chat. Much appreciated as always. Guys, that's going to do it for us tonight on this GSM News Update. We'll be back in the morning to give you a quick solar update and a look at your national forecast. But until then, we will talk soon. Good night, everyone.
Do you like this show? Give us a thumbs up. Want to support us more? Share to your favorite social media platform. Buy a t-shirt or become a Patreon. All links are in the description below.